Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Yapyat Sarvam Trilokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Guru. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhikamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we're moving forward through the 11th chapter, Vishwaswarup Darshan, the vision of the divine form. So what is it that Krishna is emphasizing in this chapter? Again, to review, we have three questions which we need to address in this work. The first, who am I? And many people go through the practice of subject-object discrimination and they say, oh yeah, I'm the witness. I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not the intellect, not the ego sense. They think that's enough. And they go back out into the world and the world continues to afflict them. I'm reacting to this, I'm craving that. What's the problem? And this is the issue that this chapter is addressing. What is this world and how has it come about? And what we're getting in the language of allegory, of metaphor, Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. All this world is Brahman, is Krishna, is consciousness. And there's lots and lots of ramifications to this. All the forms, without exception, have their being in Brahman. Hitler, Putin, the people I don't like, yes, they too are nothing but God. So there's two energies going on that we have to keep in mind. All this world comes about by means of sankalpa. What's the law of sankalpa? Any thought, wish, will, intention, any sankalpa consistently maintained that isn't contradicted or conflicted tends towards grossification, tends towards manifestation. And the process of sankalpa is happening on two levels. The first is Ishvara. This entire universe comes out about sankalpena, by means of sankalpa, the Lord's. And listen carefully, it is essentially neutral. Then there's my sankalpa. The way most of us have our sankalpa is a superimposition of likes and dislikes, judgments, qualities, I-ness and minus on this image of the infinite. So Ishwar is doing black holes and supernovas and gamma bursts and all that sort of stuff. But Ishwar is also doing every grain of sand, every bunny rabbit, every tiger, and every human being. Then you and I go, oh, I like the bunny, it's so cute. Oh, the tiger's so scary. And more insidious, oh, I really like this friend. That person I'm not talking to anymore. Likes and dislikes. So our practice that's implied is to understand that it's all God. And I endeavor to dial down my reactivity. This is called vairagya. The root is raga. Raga means just passion. So Vinayak and I went to a concert. And in Indian music, we have a raga, which is a particular organization of tones. Morning ragas, evening ragas, etc. But the word just means passion. And we normally see it in two ways. Raga, passion for something, and dvesha, aversion. So the root of vairagya is raga, passion for things. And then there's a prefix v. V is a superlative. It means something that's transcendent or superlative. Once in a while, it means the opposite. So it doesn't mean the same as aragya. Means not. This rock is aragya. Has no feeling. You're a stupid rock. It doesn't care. You're the best rock in the world. It doesn't care. It's inert. It's pure tamas. It is aragya. Do not confuse vairagya with aragya. We take our passions to another level. The feelings are the great palette of the human heart. It's not about shutting down our feelings. It's about taking it all to another level. Shankara defines vairagya as that desire. You don't do it overnight. To give up attachment to all experiences gained through the senses, through the equipments. Now, you can't avoid experiences through the equipments. You're going to see, hear, taste, touch, and smell the world, which is Ishvara's world. It's fundamentally neutral. It's when I get caught up in I-ness and minus, I must have this, I can't have that, that I start to have problems. And listen carefully. It doesn't mean we don't enjoy. Vinayak and I went to a piano recital today. Did you enjoy the music?
Yes.
Do you want to take the gal home?
No.
You want to take the music home?
No.
Yeah. You could enjoy with complete non-attachment. It was a great concert, and we left it at the concert hall. We have that experience all the time. But where we get into trouble is with sangraha, attachment. Graha actually means to grab stuff.
Really? So grihast.
Mm-hmm.
So griha and home. So the word griha also means home or shelter.
Graha, not griha.
Okay.
I'm not sure it's the same. Like Shankar will call a graha like a shark or a crocodile, a grabber. But I don't know. I don't think grihastha comes from the same. Griha from the same thing. But I don't know the Sanskrit word. We can look it up. So anyway, my point is, the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, as the Hebrew psalmist says. It's beautiful. We should be awed by its glory and magnificence. This is what Arjuna is experiencing. And he also sees its terrible nature, its destruction. I was watching this thing on YouTube about these two neutron stars orbiting each other, and at one point they're going to combine. And I can't remember what they call it, but it's bigger than a supernova, a meganova or something like that. Incredible destruction. And then guess what happens? All the heavy elements get created. Gold. You and I are the results of the destruction of a star. We are stardust. So Krishna also invites us to never lose sight of the fact of the fundamental impermanence of all form. All forms, without exception. Beginning and an end. But the underlying ground of being is always there. It's always there. Every moment is full of the divine. Any thoughts on this? So it's not about seeing some picture of a god with a bunch of arms and a whole bunch of heads and teeth with people sticking on them and stuff like that. This is all mystic symbolism. All mystic symbolism. The invitation is to see the self in and through the entire world. And we're going to be introduced now to another idea. God's in charge. Swamiji used to thunder, it's a cosmos, not a chaos. There's incredible order. There's an intelligence that's ordering everything. We may not be able to figure it out, but the universe is unfolding as it should. But my efforts are not separate from it. Swamiji also used to say, it's not kismet, it's karma. Kismet is fate. Oh, God's fate, I'm just a victim of fate. No. My own purushartha, my own self-effort is also part of the process. I like to use the example, you come out of your apartment or your home in the morning and there's dog poop on the porch. Karma, the dog pooped on the porch. Clean it up. Purushartha, self-effort. That's part of karma too. That's part of the divine. Some of you may know this wonderful prayer called the Serenity Prayer. Who's heard the Serenity Prayer? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. The courage to change the things I can. And the wisdom to know the difference. Doesn't mean we don't make efforts to make the world a better place. But as Krishna has said to Arjuna, don't worry about the Kauravas. They've already been killed by me. You're just my agent. Go act your part in the play. Slash, 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 slash. It's already been done. Any thoughts on this before we move right into the scripture? Another way to approach it. I may have shared this with you a couple weeks ago. So Abraham Lincoln, in the middle of the Civil War, was in a conference with his generals. One of the generals says, Mr. President, let us pray that God be on our side. And Lincoln said, let us rather pray that we are on God's side. God's not our errand boy. One of the best of all prayers is, be quiet and be empty. What is the infinite's will for me in the here and the now? All right. What verse are we on now?
35.
35.
Would you help us out, please?
Sanjay Vacha Etachritva Vachanam Keshavasya Kritanjalirvepamana Kiriti Namaskritva Bhuya Evaha Krishnam Sagat Kadam Bhita Bhita Pranamya. Having heard that speech of Keshava,
So Sanjaya says.
Sanjaya said, having heard that speech of Keshava, or Krishna, the crowned one, Arjuna, who joined palms, trembling and prostrating himself, again addressed Krishna in a choked voice. bowing down, overwhelmed with fear.
So again, our frame story. Sanjaya, the clairvoyant, is back at the palace telling the story of the Battle of Kurukshetra to the blind old king Dhritarashtra. So that's why he says this. So what do we have here? We have here in the language of Gita, what is it that you and I are supposed to do? That is surrender. When I start to become aware, God's in charge. Then practice that we take up, as Patanjali says in Yoga Sutra, Ishvara Pranidhana, trustful surrender to God. Meaning, I choose today to turn my will and my life over to the care of God. Earlier on, Krishna used the metaphor of the Vedic sacrifice. We were invited to see ourselves as an oblation. What's an oblation?
Offering.
Yeah, an offering, a gift. Some Western religious communities will call some of the novices or some of the lay people oblates. Have you heard that term?
Yes.
Yeah. Did the Franciscans have oblates?
No.
Yeah. But what does it literally mean? I've offered myself to God. Now, you don't have to take on a religious vow to do this. It's just smart. So, a dear friend shared with me a prayer written by Father Michael Judge, who was a Franciscan. He was the first recorded death at 9/11. He was the chaplain to the New York City Fire Department. And Father Michael's prayer goes like this: God, take me where you want me to go. Let me meet who you want me to meet. Tell me what you want me to say, and keep me out of your way. I just love that prayer. Or another one that I like. Good morning, God. This is Jim reporting for duty. What's my job today? And how do we do this? We have to silence the screaming voices of raga and dvesha, the inner 2-year-old. I don't want to eat my vegetables. I want ice cream. That's not the deep intuition. That's the indulgent part of the mind. So we need to learn to not be tyrannized by it. But we need to learn to get quiet. The prophet Isaiah called it the still small voice. Our sense of rightness, the development of the intuition. It's a wonderful word. What does tuition mean? Doesn't
Teaching.
mean write a check. Go ahead.
Teaching.
Yes. So intuition, inner teaching. This unerring guidance. It's where my mind and the total mind, Hiranyagarbha, are connected. Where the divine was the life. And one of the things the Master Jesus said, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Or is that in Isaiah?
I think they both said it.
Okay. Very interesting that he used the word yoke. It's like this thing you put on your shoulders, and you have buckets on each side. We get the word yoga from the same root, yuj. So the idea is for the person who's surrendered, who's prostrated to Krishna, to God as you understand God. This Ishvara Pranidhana, this trustful surrender to God. Then life ceases to be a burden. I'm no longer in charge. I'm not trying to make my way through life on my limited self-will. Any thoughts on this? Next verse.
Arjuna Vacha Sthane Rishikesha Tava Prakirtya Jagat Prahishyatyanurachyate Cha Rakshamsi Bhitani Disho Dravanti Sarve Namasyanti Cha Siddha Sangha. Arjuna said, it is but meet.
That's weird, old-fashioned language. Means it's perfectly right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it seemed odd. It is but meet, O Rishikesha, that the world delights and rejoices in thy praise. Rakshasas fly in fear to all quarters, and all hosts of Siddhas bow to thee.
So it's proper, it's right for everyone to worship you. And then he says, Rakshasas flee. So understand, are there non-corporeal beings, celestial beings, yakshas, demons, asuras, and rakshasas? There may be, but that's not of use to us here. We want to see these as dimensions of human consciousness. So Rakshasas, the demons, these are our own fears, our own negative thinking. By and large, not always. The asuras are our anger. And the Rakshasas are our greed. So when I begin to surrender to God, and I endeavor to see the divine, every dimension of the world, fear, the greed, resentments start to flee. And the rishis, the wisdom, the celestial beings, start to come close. Meaning, I begin to lead a life of inspiration. Any thoughts on this? I've talked frequently about what I call the law of the third eye. So you've got a third eye, which is like the lamp on your bicycle helmet or a miner's lamp. What you look at, what you pay attention to, you're going to think about. What you look at repeatedly, you're going to think about repeatedly. Repeated thought becomes habituated thought. Habituated thought sinks into the unconscious, and that becomes the law of my life. The great power that we have is in choosing what we pay attention to. Here, pay attention. Keep your mind fixed on the notion. It's all God. God's in charge. I'm God's hands in the world. My job is to do what the Lord wishes. On the other hand, my attention is on, oh, it's scary out there. Oh, there's so much negativity. Oh, it's so bad. Crime. Violence. It's so bad. And that focuses our mind on it. It's such a simple practice, and contained within it is so much power. What we choose to pay attention to. What was the one I heard? My resentments, my regrets have withered and died from lack of attention. As I focus my mind on helping others or on God. Very good slogan. All right, next verse.
Kasmachatena namiran mahatman gariyase brahmanopyadikartre ananta devesha jagannivasa tvamaksharam sadasatat param yat. And why should they not, O great souled one, bow to thee, greater than all else, the primal cause even of Brahma, O infinite being, O Lord of lords, O abode of the universe? You are the imperishable, that which is beyond both the manifest and the unmanifest.
So this is a very rich shloka. So why should not all the demons, the negative thoughts flee and the good thoughts come? Because Krishna is the source of even Brahma, the creator. So the question that this is addressing is, where is the locus of Maya? What is Maya? Maya is a very interesting word. It comes from the word ma, not. That's the etymology I like. That which is comprised of not, nothing. It's the word we use to describe how the impossible appears possible. How is it that consciousness, which is kutastha, still, immovable, absolutely established, one without a second, there is no otherness, seems to have within it some great power by which the entire cosmos arises. Maya Shakti. So the locus of Maya is Brahman. And it all comes sankalpena, by means of imagination. So this entire cosmos, its material cause is consciousness. Easiest way to understand this is to go to the dream state. You are the god of your dream. The dream is mini Maya. You, the waker, first are covered by ignorance, called deep sleep. Then your mind projects a dream world. But the dream world is not other than your own mind appearing as the dream world. The scriptures say that's how all this comes about. So the cause of this world, the substance of this world, is Brahman itself. And the next idea after that, you are the cause of Brahma. What comes after that?
The primal cause of even Brahma, O infinite being, O Lord of lords, O abode of the universe.
So it's where the universe takes place. And when we say the Lord of Lords, meaning the one who's in charge, we'll use the word Ishvara. Ishvara is usually translated as the Lord, but its root is Ijjati. He who wills, he who wishes, he who intends. The Lord of all. Next idea.
You are the imperishable, that which is beyond both the manifest and the unmanifest.
Yes. So, what is the manifest? The material things. On a microcosmic sense is stuff perceived by my senses. The unmanifest here, the avyakta, on a microcosmic personal level, it's like my mind folded up in deep sleep. But there is a macrocosmic unmanifest. The total vasana, consciousness is beyond that. Creation and destruction of the whole universe occurs in Krishna. Microcosmically, personally for you and me, I am ever the knower of the waking state. I'm ever the knower of the dream state. I even know deep sleep. Otherwise, I couldn't remember it. But I am beyond the three worlds. The consciousness in which they arise. And I pervade them. Krishna pervades it all. Is that all in this verse? Did we get all the pieces?
You are the imperishable, that which is beyond both the manifest and the unmanifest.
Yes, we just did that. And by imperishable, consciousness never begins, changes, or ends. It always is. That means you are also imperishable. All right, next verse.
Tvamadideva Purusha Purana, Tvamasya Vishwasya Param Nidhanam, Vetasi Vedyam Cha Param Cha Dhama, Tvaya Tatam Vishwamananta Rupa. You are the primal God, the ancient Purusha, you are the supreme refuge of this universe. You are the knower, the knowable, and the abode supreme. By thee is the universe pervaded, O being of infinite forms.
So the reference here, Purusha, this is a term found in Sankhya philosophy. The spirit, Purusha really just means person, but it goes all the way back to Rig Veda, where we have Purusha Sukha, the hymn to the divine person, oldest parts of scripture. So the primordial being is consciousness. Birthless, changeless, deathless. And what do the Upanishads thunder? I am Atma Brahma. How do I come to know this Purusha, this Brahman? It's your very self. Beyond anything that's knowable. So again, we have Nirguna Brahman, Brahman without qualities, which is always the subject, I. And we have Saguna Brahman, Brahman with qualities, which is this phenomenal. We get this laid out so clearly in Mandukya Upanishad. First mantra says, Om, the word, Omkar, is all this, meaning the phenomenal. That which is beyond this world is also all. Brahman with qualities, the phenomenal world. Brahman without qualities, the eternal subject. The world appears like the images in the mirror. The mirror itself, we could say, is Nirguna Bimba, a mirror without qualities. But you are Pratibimba. When you look into the mirror, what do you see? My reflection. Is the reflection really in the mirror? I just pulled the reflection out of the mirror. No. It's the mirror itself appearing as the reflection. Whoever goes into the bathroom and looks in the mirror reflects you. But the mirror doesn't change at all. It's just its nature to reflect. So also consciousness never really changes. You are absolutely safe. Completely safe. Just the picture show changes. Take it easy. Don't worry. It's going to be okay. It is okay. No matter what it looks like. Because whatever you're looking at, Brahma Satyam Jagan Nitya. Next verse.
Va- Vayurmugnir Varuna Shashanka Prajapatistam Prapitamahascha Namo Namaste Stu Sahasrakritvam Punascha Bhuyopi Namo Namaste. So far, Arjuna was chanting the glories of the god in his transcendental form. A devotee may wonder what exactly the
I
relationship.
think that's the commentary.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Do you want to read it?
No, so it's the translation. It should have like Sanjay Water or something.
I have the translation. I got it from the written book. You are Vayu, Yama, Agni, Varuna, the moon, Prajapati, and the great-grandfather of all. Salutations, salutations unto thee 1,000 times, and again salutations, salutations unto thee.
So is that missing from your text?
Mhm.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Oh, that's interesting. So basically, the point here is the entire phenomenal world. Vayu is air, Varuna is the sea, Agni is fire. Do you want to just briefly go to what Swamiji says there?
Yeah. So Vayu is the wind, Yama the destroyer, Agni the fire, Varuna the sea god, Shashanka the moon, and Prajapati the creator were considered as deities for reverence and devotion, concentration and growth of the seeker's inner personality.
So the idea here is we have upasana that is suggested in our tradition. What is upasana? Worship. All sorts of forms of worship. In the end, that is a preparatory practice. Those of us who've been studying Kena Upanishad Saturday mornings in the first chapter, all the verses thunder, it is not that which you worship here. So we are enjoined to engage in ritualistic worship, puja, yajna, for a time, which quietens the mind, purifies the heart, which then makes us fit for the self-inquiry, which reveals the nature of the self. It's not either or, it's first then. Any thoughts on this?
Jim,
Yes.
I was listening to something about Osho was saying once, and it was about this thing. He was saying, hey, well, anybody who says the world's an illusion, tell that person to go bang his head on a stone and then ask them, is the world an illusion or not? Is it real or not? And I don't remember the point he was trying to make, but this idea that it's illusory, it immediately disappears when we have a very real interaction with the world, like you're hitting your head on something. And how do we reconcile that?
When you are dreaming, all the interactions that the dream ego and the dream body have are just as real as what we're experiencing here. We never say you are not having an experience. But when you wake up, what happens to the painful interactions in the dream state? You can't say that you didn't experience them, but you see, oh, as vivid as it was just a play of the mind. Now, people can be hypnotized and in those states experience pain and experience freedom from pain. Mind is incredibly powerful. But just because I'm ego identified and the rock I hit on the head with seems painful, does not change the fact of its illusory nature. So, I'm not suggesting you do what Osho says and bang your head on rocks. The practice that's implied is trust that it's all going to be okay as it's all running. I don't know what Osho said. Osho could be quite a rascal, in the things that he said. I never met the man, so I have no idea. I've read a couple of his books. They seem kind of heady and wordy for me. But that's just my taste. I'm far more Ramana Maharshi. But if it doesn't work for you, put it on the shelf. All of these things should be taken as hypotheses. And you prove or disprove them in the laboratory of our direct experience. But by and large, sensory experience is not a particularly valid test of what's real. I don't know if that's helpful.
Yes, please.
If we do nothing else but, okay, so we're facing silly season in politics. Even my YouTube channel is starting to have political ads. I have no idea what's going to happen. None. I have preference. But it's going to be okay, whatever happens. Will people die? People always die. But dying in the end is safe. The self doesn't die. It's going to be okay. And destruction is part of the Lord's plan. 99.9% of all the species that have ever existed on the earth are extinct. It's just part of what happens. If the idea of the world being dreamlike and not real is a challenge, we start with meditating on the fundamental impermanence of the world. Meaning everything that goes on is impermanent. Don't be attached to it. That's our entry point into it. Is that more useful?
Mm-hmm.
Very good point. All right, next verse.
Nama Nama purastadath prishtataste Namo sute sarvata eva sarva Ananta virya mitavikramastvam Sarva Sarvam samapnoshi tatosi sarva. Salutations to you before and behind. Salutations to you on every side. O all, you, infinite in power and infinite in prowess, pervade all, wherefore you are the all.
Yes. So again, the practice that's implied. See the self in all things. There's a wonderful book in the Hebrew Bible, the book of Job. Who here's read the book of Job? I'm curious. Okay. The book of Job is incredibly powerful because it deals with the phenomenon of suffering. And the frame of the story is really weird. So they're in the court of heaven. And the devil says to God, I bet I can make your servant Job curse you. And God says, the bet's on. So Job, who's a good, upright, and righteous man, now again, many of us think if I'm good, righteous, I pray, and I'm upright, I should be blessed by the gods. True story. When my older brother, who was an evangelical Christian, when his youngest daughter's husband was killed in Afghanistan, he was devastated. Blake wasn't supposed to die because we prayed for him all the time. God was supposed to do what we wanted. Is that your idea of what's supposed to happen? So what happens? Job has all these afflictions come to him. And what does he say? Remember what his refrain is, Mike?
At the end or through the whole thing?
The whole thing. The Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Then worse things happen. He goes, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. And Satan keeps throwing all this tribulation at him. The Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Finally, he's sitting there on the heap of crap and he goes, why, God? Why? You ever had that prayer? Yes, no?
Yes.
And what does God say? Who do you think you are? As far as the heavens are above the earth, so are my ways above your ways. Can an ant understand nuclear physics? That's how we have to live sometimes. In this acceptance, in mystery, the mind of Ishvara is so beyond what you and I can understand. But here, what the scripture invites us to do, take on Job's refrain. The Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. It's all God. It's all in God's plan. If I don't clutch, if I don't grab, I can get that blessing. The blessing is not that the circumstances are what I want. The blessings are I find a peace that's not of this world. It's a wonderful story. Now, if you take an Old Testament class, what they'll say is, in the Bible as we have it today, all of Job's crap is restored to him. My Old Testament teacher said that's actually an add-on. The original, it just stays in mystery. just stays a mystery. That's our lives. So the invitation is everything is a gift. There's something to learn. I'm going to tell you another true story. So in 2000, I was studying at the Franciscan School of Theology. I was planning on matriculating and maybe even doing doctoral work there. And in November, Thanksgiving weekend, I developed bleeds in my eye and I lost my sight. I couldn't read, I couldn't drive, I couldn't do anything. So I went to my advisor, this wonderful old nun, the Sister Mary McGann. Was she there when you were there?
Yeah.
Great lady. Yeah, great lady. And I explain, I'm going blind. She looks at me and she goes, "Oh, Jim, tough gift, isn't it?" Okay. The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. All right, God, what's the gift here? What's the gift? What can I learn? This is not a tragedy. This is a gift. So this is the invitation. Different way of looking at the world. Different way of looking at our lives. And it has been a gift. It has been. All right, next one.
It's two together.
Okay.
Sakheti matva prasabham yaduktam he Krishna he Yadava he Sakheti ajanata mahimanam tavedam maya pramadat pranayena vapi yajjavaha sarthamasatkritosi viharashayyasana bhojaneshu एकोऽथवाप्यच्युत ततस्मक्षं तत्क्षामये त्वामहमप्रमेयम्. Whatever I have rashly said from carelessness or love, addressing you as O Krishna, O Yadava, O friend, and regarding you merely as a friend, unknowing of this greatness of yours, in whatever way I may have insulted you for the sake of fun, while at play, reposing or sitting, or at meals, when alone with you, O Achyuta, or in company, that, O immeasurable one, I implore you to forgive.
So here Arjuna goes through a mind state that many of us go through. Oh, I think God's disappointed with me. Am I being punished? Have I done something wrong? Is God punishing me? Oh, I've blasphemed. Am I being punished by God? Has God withdrawn his grace from me? Did I screw up? Who's had thoughts like that? Heresy. The love of God is a constant. The mercy, healing of God is a constant. You can't piss God off. You can't. We can move away from that connection. Self-centered fear, through egoism, through resentment and anger, through our unwillingness to pray, to meditate. But all we have to do is turn, and it's there. It hasn't gone anywhere. You don't feel close to God. Who moved? So here Arjuna is having that very common, normal reaction. But I think God is neurotic. There is no neurotic God. Come on, Deepa. Beg. I love it when you beg. Maybe 2 quarts of grace. Oh, get on your knees, on your face, then maybe they'll give you 3 quarts of grace. Oh, beat your breast and rend your clothes. 4 quarts of grace, maybe, if you do all that. There's no such God. Oh, Vinayak, off to India, dipping in the Ganga. I like it when he dips in the Ganga. 6 quarts of grace. No such God. Don't have a neurotic God. The Hebrew scripture says we are made in the image and likeness of God. Doesn't mean God has 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head, etc. It means that our deepest nature. I won't go into it now, I don't have time. But unfortunately, most of us in our imagination create God in our image and likeness. I'm a capricious person with likes and dislikes, full of judgment, condemnation. I like this person, I don't like that person, and I think God's like that. There's no such God. But as I've said many times, if you want to know how you really believe what your personal theology is, look at how you pray. The way in which you pray reveals your theology, not what your opinions are. Are you making deals with God? Are you begging God? Do you bargain with God? It means you have created an erotic God of your imagination. Arjuna's done the same thing here. Of course, Krishna doesn't care. He still loves him unconditionally. Now, the truth is, you should see God as your friend, as your lover, as your eternal helpmate, as your constant support friend. So many of our bhajans use the word sharanam. What's sharanam mean?
Shelter.
Shelter, refuge, yes. That's how you want to think. All right, we need to quit here. What verse are we on for next week?
43.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om.